Showing up in the world is being put on the spot, a mess of circumstance and unpredictability. It is terrifying. So what happens if you do show up? Well, if you show up, the world will fall at your feet like a postcard. You'll pick it up, turn it over and over, falling in love once again with the place you live. If you show up, a little red-headed girl will help you remember that you were a little red-headed girl once, and you were not allowed to wear pink. You ache for this little girl, and that shutter will snap before her bubbles burst. Showing up, you may be cited for hazardous driving on Commercial Street at 5 a.m. When you see this, people will wonder if it is a composite photo. It is not. You may wonder if anyone understands you don't know how to make a composite photo. You still struggle turning your camera on. You might walk around a corner to find these three women working up to their knees in fish guts at a bait shop on the wharf, and you will make note that you really must do a PechaKucha titled The Goddess Chronicles. If you keep showing up year after year, you'll witness a young man on the waterfront finally recover his sobriety. He will ask you to photograph his wedding. You will say yes, brush a tear away, even though he knows you're the one who has trouble turning her camera on. You might discover the man you offered cigarettes and donuts to when you were new to the docks years ago. You may remember how scared you were then. It was like offering food to wild animals so they don't eat you, or in this case, throw you off the docks. And you will find out his name is Scully, and he has a heart of gold. You might be about to trip over a rope holding a boat to the pier. Somehow, it rivets your attention. You won't know why. You'll think the word tenderness, and all day you'll wonder why it makes you cry. And if you show up, you might find yourself cringing as you take the photograph of a man with a swastika tattooed on his nose, only to find out it's not a swastika, but an ancient Norse symbol, and you will wonder how many times you've made this kind of mistake. You will race to the osprey nest each morning, excited as you used to be on Christmas morning, though less disappointed afterward. You'll never wonder again what an osprey looks like flying directly at your face. You will Google hard hats. If you show up early enough, you'll see where some people sleep. You may even leave a warm breakfast sandwich, like a blessing, careful not to wake them. You will bless your warm bed like never before. If you show up often enough on a certain wharf, the guys will let you visit while they weld and joke and work. And you'll think, wow, scored front row tickets to life. One time when you show up, that weekend before the presidential election, you'll snap a picture of a Trump protester. You might not have the thought then that this is one for the history books. If you show up, someone who has had a harder life than you could survive, from Southie, from the Whitey Bulger era, reveals his life to you through his tattoos, his pain, his path, his passion, and you will wonder about humanity, cruelty, redemption, and the depth of love. And you'll find that one of the goddesses from the bait shop holds a story of recovery herself and is becoming Our Lady of Lost Causes. And you will wonder how she manages to match her lipstick to the sunrise every time. You may discover that lobster traps aren't all the same, and they're customized per order of the captain. Who knew? And this is a woman who builds custom traps. You note she is to be included in the Goddess Chronicles. If you show up, you'll see men tending nets, repairing them by hand, and it's a dying art. They will express their concern that the working waterfront is disappearing. They will tell you they don't think their children will fish. After that, you will never hesitate to stop and photograph them. When you show up and it's so cold that ice freezes horizontally from the wind on a commercial fishing vessel, you'll understand forever why fishermen's hands look the way they do. And you will never, ever, ever again complain at the price of fish. He will finally ask you to photograph him staggering toward you. He will mumble, "I'm not on the streets because I drink because I'm on the streets." You will take his photograph, you will wonder about his words, and you will wonder if someone misses him. You might smile when the goddess of recovery meets up with the pioneers of recovery at Maine Works, determined to show the world that this is what recovery looks like. You know some of their stories. You will want them more than anything to see how beautiful they are. And if you show up every once in a blue moon, a young man who is also showing up, recovering from heroin addiction, will look straight into your lens and thank you, and you will weep.